Hi, you guys. You're listening to Good Vibes Sunday, a podcast brought to you by I Am Warhol, the blog. Every Sunday, I'll be sitting down with provocative thinkers, industry disruptors, and culture changers. My intention for every guest is to talk about breaking barriers, shifting old paradigms, and really just opening up in a vulnerable conversation. So this week, I'm trying something a little new here, and I've done this before, so it's not completely new, but I'm really liking this whole idea of candid talk. And every so often I'm going to pop in here and I'm just going to have candid conversations with you all and just talk about the things that I'm kind of going through in this moment and just have a good, honest conversation about it. So I'm going to call it Candid Sundays. So it's going to be the same thing, same programming. It's just instead of having a guest on, it's just going to be more candid conversations between you and I. And, typically I always come up with a topic, a specific topic, and I always kind of follow more of a strict, I guess you could say. It's not so improv. So for these Candid Sundays, I'm just going to go about my week and then come to Good Vibes Sunday with a topic that is just on my mind at that moment and just kind of discuss what I'm feeling in that moment. So it's just a good old conversation, and I hope you all enjoy whenever I do these. They're not going to be every single Sunday. So we will still continue to have our guests on, and we will continue to have more of a structured Good Vibes Sunday where, I go through a topic and a guideline. But for this week, we're going to call it Candid Sunday, and I hope you all enjoy. Also, don't forget to tune in next week because we are going to have a really special guest. His name is Kevin Kuzmanoff, an awesome friend and a really cool just guy. He's an athlete. He's an old friend of Adam's. They played baseball together. So we're going to have a really cool conversation with that guy, and you won't want to miss that. But for now, let's get to our candid conversation. Happy Sunday, everyone. So last week, actually it wasn't last week, it was the week before that, where I had the Good Vibes Sunday about self-love. And I got such an awesome response from so many of you who DM'd me and just made my heart smile. You guys have been so cool, so honest, and I appreciate every single one of you. Our listener base is growing, and I'm so excited. So thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every single one of you who have taken the time to reach out and just who listen to me. I mean, when I started this whole thing about it over a year ago now, I started doing it because I was interviewing a girl who had actually undergone cancer treatment. And the reason I started Good Vibes was really just to create a place that we could all come to on Sunday and, sip on your coffee or whatever you're doing that day, but just have a good place to get your dose of good vibes. And I remember I started doing this mostly as posts. So I would type up articles or posts or whatever it was, or I'd put videos that inspired me. And I remember that I was interviewing her and I had her write it all down. So I asked her questions and she wrote it all down. And it was actually, I was on my way that day to a ceremony that we hold every year for my mother figure who had just passed away. And I was rushing that day. I remember I was rushing to get this done. So what I did was I recorded the entire thing. So I read it because it was going to be just faster than me typing it up. And I remember I posted it as an audio, and it got such a good response. And then I just carried on that way. I carried on in doing audios, and then I said, why don't I just start a podcast? So without going too much into detail about that, ever since that day to today, our listener base has grown so much, and I appreciate you guys so much. So just wanted to touch on that because that's been heavy on my mind. Just the appreciation has really been weighing in a good way. So thank you guys. So another thing I want to talk about is I Am Warhol. And obviously that is the name of our blog. And I wanted to talk about just what it means and why I named our blog I Am Warhol. Through his work, if you don't know who Andy Warhol is, he was an artist, pop artist. He was a revolutionary just man. He was kind of outlandish, kind of crazy. But he really redefined art what most people believed art should have been, which was, realism and just a very different perspective on art than what he was presenting. And it was very traditional. Everything was very safe with art. And he said, why can't art be different? Why can't art be what we want it to be? And why can't we use art as marketing? Why can't we convey messages? Because before, art was just there to kind of look at, right? And it conveyed messages, but it didn't do it in a way where it was pop and modern and in a kind of outlandish. He wanted to go against the grain. Right? I always say, so it's through his work that Andy Warhol really redefined the way we see the world by making the ordinary extraordinary. Like, he firmly believed that to really change things, you have to do it yourself. Like, he believed that with all his heart. So that whole concept of just redefining life and the way that everybody sees it, I'm so tired of seeing the same old shit all the time, and I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. I feel like as humans, to me, it feels like we have such a capacity to create new ways, to create new things. And as followers of what other people think and do and say, and that's why I say with social media, it's so easy to fall victim of being influenced. And it's so easy to fall victim of wanting to do the things that everybody says is the status quo, if you will, right? So the status quo says, everything should be like this. And then people start to fall into that category and everybody wants to see everything just be that way. And when there's change, when someone comes in and disrupts that, then everybody kind of freaks out, right? But at the same time, I feel like because of that discomfort, there's that word again, discomfort of that change. In the end, that change, that discomfort is really what really creates new possibilities, new ways of people seeing life and extraordinary ways of seeing life. You could say that with Martin Luther King. Sir Martin Luther King came and disrupted a tradition, the way that people saw life, right? The way that people saw other human beings, whether it be through slavery and all of that. He came and he disrupted that. He came with a new idea, a new way, with this dream, right? So it's the same concept. It applies in so many different ways. So when you see Andy Warhol, he came with that same mentality. He came with that same purpose of disrupting what people thought was traditional art and seeing it in a way that, no, look, this could be art too. Let me change it up a bit. Let me shake it up and kind of cause a controversy here, if you will. And so let me see how people react to that. He almost predicted that social media would occur. He almost had this idea that at one point everybody, because it's about understanding humans. He said at one point everybody will have their 5-10 minutes of fame, and everybody strives to be famous, right? Everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants to be known and loved. So this whole idea of I am Warhol, really the whole idea of really I am, that whole phrase I am Warhol, to me is a very powerful one, because I feel like there is no stronger, more powerful statement than those two words, I am. So what you believe you are is really what draws out the rest of your day, the rest of your life, the rest of who you are, right? So if you wake up and say, I am powerful, I am strong. These are affirmations I have Arian do. I actually have a podcast on that for children affirmations. I am loved. I am family. I am whole. I am joy, etc., etc. So I always say that when I say I am Warhol, it's who we are as a company. I want Adam and I, Leonie, our whole company to be revolutionary. Especially in our hometown. I feel like our hometown is very tired. I feel like our hometown, nothing has really disrupted it. And I think that, the way that Adam and I are coming in, we really want to change things. We really want to do something extraordinary that may get some controversy. It may get some friction from some people, but in the end, we have good intentions, and I think it'll really change our industry here in Riverside. And hopefully, if we can expand one day, we could change just further out, But the biggest idea that is it all comes down to that main core of I Am Warhol is really even beginning with our good vibes, is just to give you guys a podcast, to give you guys a blog that's not like every other design blog, that's not like every other home blog. I'm really stuck to this idea that home is inside of us. And if we can change as people, if we can change as human beings, and if we could really be our best selves from inside out, then our homes become whole. Our homes become love, and they become everything that they should be. So that's the true key to happiness, and it begins inside of us. And with this whole I am, really you choose whatever you want to be. So whatever those words that are going to follow I am, that's your choice, right? We all have the choice. So I am love, I am joy, I am happy, I am a woman, a strong woman, etc., etc. I am. So it's what you bring to yourself that you bring to your home. Your home is, right, whatever you are. So I am Warhol. That's where I was born. So to continue on with what I'm feeling right now, I'm feeling stressed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling stressed. I feel like this week has been just nonstop. We have been hustling like crazy, Adam and I. You know, in life, I feel like our entire life's purpose is here for us to learn lessons. And I've talked about this multiple times on here. But every time there's a situation that's pressing in upon myself or on Adam in our lives, I always ask, what is emerging? What am I supposed to be learning from this? What am I supposed to take from this? And I feel like lately, with all of the pressure of work and everything we're trying to do, I feel like this time in my life, I've been very out of alignment. And I feel like every time I'm out of alignment, it's always because I'm not in touch with myself, right? So when I try to do too much, and I'm telling you guys, every time I've preached this or I've told you guys about self-love, I've been completely honest that I strive for it and I'm not perfect at it. But I always want to come back to that place, right? So as a human being, as a mother, as a wife, as a person, I'm not perfect at this. If I tell you guys this, it's not because I'm saying, oh, it's worked for me every day. No, it works for me, but I'm a work in progress too. We're all growing into this together. So that's what I love about this, is that I could tell you guys this as a person that's actually, suffering from the same things you guys are suffering from, which is overwhelmment. I do too much sometimes, but it's all about really reeling it back to this whole idea about self-love. This whole idea about really slowing it all down. And that's where I'm at today. It's been about a week where I feel like I've just been speeding everything up. Everything's been becoming so overwhelming that I'm now at the end of the week here and I'm just trying to slow it all back down. And once I do that, I'm telling you guys, it works every time. So going back to this idea of slowing everything down, I feel like Adam has been in the same boat because, the energy you put out is very contagious. And whenever he's out of whack, I call it, right? So out of alignment, then I become out of alignment, and vice versa. The opposite is true too. So if I'm in the same boat where I'm feeling out of alignment and I'm just kind of floating through life, then the same goes for him. It's very contagious. So with all of that said, Adam and I have been having just some issues lately. We've been kind of having communication issues. I feel like every time that we kind of sit in this place where we lose track. We start to, it's so funny because I've talked about this before. It becomes like a snowball effect, right? So once you start really just everything speeds up and things start to kind of get out of alignment, what happens is disorganization happens, right? So you start to become disorganized, and that's what's going on with us. We became more disorganized than ever, and then we started to take on more projects than we can handle, which is okay. I mean, it's exciting to do that, but at the same time, when doing that, we have to always remember to slow it down, to set aside time for ourselves, to set aside time for our marriage and set aside time for our son. And I feel like we haven't been doing that. We've been just constantly working nonstop. 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock in the morning, like all day long, right? So when we do that and we don't stop to just give ourselves times to meditate, times to pray, times to just be with each other, have a little movie here and there and just kind of relax as a family, I'm telling you guys, everything gets out of whack, right? Especially meditation. Meditation is one of those things that I feel is the biggest indicator of where we're at, right? So whenever we are meditating, I feel like little miracles start to happen. They start to emerge. And we haven't been meditating, and so we're getting right back into that this week. We started doing that yesterday, and I feel just this calm. And really, at the end of it all, you guys, it's all in our minds, right? So the power lives inside of our minds. And when you're just floating through life, when you're not in touch with your mind, when you're not in that awareness of everything that's going on around you and the control that you have over certain things, of course, we can't control everything. Those things that we cannot control, you don't worry about those. You worry about the things that you can control. And I talked about it last week too, or 2 weeks ago, about worrying about what you can control and just doing those. And then after that, after worrying about those and doing whatever you're supposed to do that's in alignment with what you believe in, then at that point you just let go, right? So you let go and trust that the power of God and the universe and everything that is in your court, because God and the universe, it's in your corner. It's there for you to succeed. I mean, nothing that is happening against you because it's just happening against you. It's because life wants you to progress. Everything that's happening is there for us to learn lessons. And I'm saying you, and I mean us. When I say this, I mean us. If we're feeling out of alignment, if we're feeling frustration or agitation, there's something wrong. You're supposed to step back and just take a breath and say, okay, what is going on right now? What is emerging? Am I supposed to be switching direction? Am I supposed to look at my situation? What am I supposed to be more aware of right now in this moment? And so for me personally, and for Adam himself too, it's really been about slowing it down. And at the end of the day, we are aware of that now, and we're right back at it. We're working at it. We're slowing things down and just learning from each other. And another thing I wanted to get into was arguments. Arguments between couples is something that is normal. And I want to emphasize on this because I feel like a lot of people want to, the grass is always greener on social media. So social media makes everything seem like it's perfect. And I've talked about this before, is that I was told a few months ago, by a certain person who is so kind, so sweet. We took the compliment as a very sweet compliment, but in reality, this person told us, wow, you guys have such a perfect family. You guys are so beautiful and this and that. And I'm just like, I'm appreciative for the compliment. However, she goes, this person said, oh, on social media, on Instagram, my gosh, it looks like you guys really have it together and, all this stuff. And it's funny because, like I said, the grass is always greener on social media. Everybody makes it seem like, and it's subconscious. Subconsciously, we all want to censor. Subconsciously, we all strive to act as though we have it all together, right? So we always subconsciously go there. And who wants to post the messiness of one's life? People subconsciously don't ever do that. And it's funny because I am striving more and more just to be more vulnerable and just show a little bit more about who we are as people and just as humans, because by no means are we perfect. I appreciate the compliment, but it was kind of enlightening. It was a moment of enlightenment for me because I realized, man, people really believe that we have it all together. If you really were to live one day in our lives, I mean, it's chaos. It really is. I mean, we have arguments just like anybody else. We have a life where we are moving in a direction where, like, we have been more in the moment. And all of these practices, we've gotten to higher levels of knowing how to maneuver through life, to really capture this love that we're really striving to have between each other and as a friendship, as a partnership, as a marriage. But is it easy? No. Do we still have our hurdles? Absolutely. And I think that today, I've always talked about this too, is that when Adam was in baseball, we were completely different people. The reset button happened just when my mother figure passed away. And after that, we've really have been working on our marriage. And it's been a long time coming, but it wasn't always perfect, and it still isn't today, and it will never be. It's always going to be it's not a one and done. It's going to be an ongoing process and path that we're going to be on, but we always get to higher levels of it. So this week, with being out of alignment, without being in that true moment of awareness, I feel like both of us have been just floating, and we've just kind of been like in reaction every day, right? So we've been snappy towards each other. We've just, I don't know, it just feels like we've been really in a funk with each other. And I feel like we've been spending a lot of time together. And I told him, I said, maybe we need a little space. Maybe we need a day or two just to separate from each other. And tomorrow, actually, he's going to be going to his father's birthday party, and we're going to be separate for the day. And I think that's it's a good, healthy dose of just having some time apart. But I want to talk about arguments, because a lot of people think, arguments aren't healthy. And I personally, and Adam agrees, that arguments are healthy when it's not an ego battle, right? So if it's an ego battle, absolutely not. If you're constantly thinking, trying to prove that you're right and he's wrong, or vice versa, then it's never a healthy thing. You're going to be in a rat wheel forever, because it goes back to who stole my cheese, right? So if we live in that place, it's not a healthy place to be. But if we argue with the idea behind every argument being a lesson, if we learn from every argument, I feel like as two human beings, as two souls coming together, that there's a constant adjustment that is happening, that needs to happen. So with Adam and myself, I feel like we're constantly just molding into each other, and it's uncomfortable. Everything in life that is good is always going to be uncomfortable, and there's always going to be some friction. But I feel like at the end of the day, if we are both aware enough and we love each other enough to know that neither one of us is doing it at a hostility, none of us are having this ego battle, right? If both of us know that at the end of the day, there's a lesson in this, and what is it? It's just like life. It's like anything. Whenever something is wrong or whenever something is off, you need to stop, analyze it, and see, what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I truly supposed to be paying attention to? So I see the same thing with every argument that we have. I'm like, okay, something's off. What is life and God? What are we supposed to be knowing from this, right? What are we supposed to be learning from this? And that's really what it comes down to. So with all of that said, this week it's been a rough one. So I feel like today in particular, I'm putting into practice everything that I preach. I'm putting into this, just everything I've got, everything that I talk about. I'm really at a place right now where I feel like you say it, you got to do it, Austria, right? So I'll let you guys all know my next Candid, how I'm doing, how it's all coming together. But really, I think the lesson in all of this, for me particular this week, has been just to slow everything down, to slow it down, and to really pay attention to what is the lesson in this whole situation, right? So if everything's pressing in upon me, what am I supposed to learn? And another thing, you guys, I want to talk about this. Adam and I, we went for a run the other day, and it's so funny because I always say I'm a good runner. I've always been a pretty good runner. I laugh because Adam would go and run around kind of like our neighborhood, and on a treadmill, I can run for days. Adam is kind of slower on the treadmill. Not slower, but he doesn't last as long. I can last a lot longer. But so he would go out for these runs, and I said one day, I was like, I want to go for a run. I'm going to see how long I last going out, because it's different if you're running on a treadmill versus running outside, right? So it's just different. And it's funny. So I went out with him to run, and he smoked me. I mean, this guy is super athletic. So I'm just like behind him. And last week I actually went for a run, and I was dying. Like I couldn't even get past, and it's funny because what we did was we almost made it seem as though that was our life, right? He pushed me. He kept pushing me. He was behind me and pushing me to finish, pushing me. And I kept thinking, my gosh, I'm over here dying. I'm like, I want to give up. I really do. I'm like, I just want to start walking, and just kind of throw myself on the floor and just catch my breath. But in reality, it's like life. Adam, your partner, whoever you're with, and this could come in a form of a parent, of a son, of a daughter, of whoever it is that really motivates you. And for me, it's really Adam. I feel like he pushed me, he stopped, and he was just behind me. He's like, come on, let's go. You can do this, you can do it. And he got me through it. And there's been times in my life, in our life together, where I've been that for him. And that's really what a partnership is, right? That's really while we're together as humans. That's why we have each other as husband and wife. And so it was just funny to see our life. But once I got to the very end, when I was so close to making it, I felt like I was dying right at this point. I couldn't catch my breath. My heart was pounding super hard. My stomach was hurting. And I stopped to think. I was like, gosh, when I'm almost there, I'm like, I'll get there faster if I just run faster. Even though I'm dying, if I just run a little bit faster, I can get there faster and it'll all be over. And, that was a realization for me because I kept looking up and it was there. I could see the house and I'm like, our home's right there. I'm getting there. But if I just cruise, I'll get there eventually. But man, if I just push a little harder right now, even though it's going to kill me, it's going to be super uncomfortable because I'm already in pain. I'm already dying. I'm already, like at my last breaths, I felt like. And I was like, but if I just push harder, if I run really fast to get there, it'll all be over. I'll have what I want, which is my home. I want to just get there and throw myself on the lawn and just kind of catch my breath. So that was like the way I felt of life. I feel like we're at a point right now where we're just climbing. And do you ever guys feel like you're at a point where, it's so painful and you just, all you have to do is work harder to get there instead of just cruising by or being more comfortable with, okay, I could do this, but you can do that and you'll get there. But to me, I just kind of had a realization in that moment that if you compare a workout to life, really, it kind of does have that same feeling, right? If you just run a little faster, it might be very uncomfortable, but you'll just get there. You'll get there faster. So I don't know. This is all super candid and kind of improv here, so I don't have a true direction for me. It feels like right now, but yeah, that's the way I compared it to life. And if you kind of do that, it really does put everything into perspective. And we kind of played around with that, Adam and I, and him pushing me, to finish. And to me, it just feels like life is freaking painful, man. Like it's hard. Life is hard, and it could be very beautiful if you're in a good place. And if you just kind of put yourself in situations where they're uncomfortable, you're going to get there a lot faster if you just push yourself. So I don't know. It could be all just gibberish this week, but I hope you guys got a little something from that. And I'll check with you guys all in next week. We're going to have, as I said, a really cool friend on, Kevin Kuzmanoff. Go Google the guy. He has all kinds of stuff on Google, so you could really get to know this guy. Okay, guys? So I'll see you all next week. I love you. I am so thankful for you.
Thank you for tuning in, Good Vibers. And be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Sunday by downloading the podcast app found at the App Store. Catch you all next week. Have a happy Sunday.